Hey y'all, it's your girl Sonia, and welcome back to She Say Sports. Today we will be discussing the pandemic that has been spread across the world and has taken many lives. Today I have with me Captain Marisa Ward, who's a women's health nurse practitioner, board certified with 10 years experience. She currently works at 6 Medical Group at MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa, Florida. Captain Ward, how are you today?
Hi, good evening. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Please just tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
So I am a women's health nurse practitioner, as mentioned. So what that means is that I specialize in women's health, but ultimately my training is as a nurse practitioner. So I do have a significant healthcare background. I've been doing this since 2010. I've worked in Mississippi, I've worked in Missouri, and now I've joined the Air Force, and now I'm here in Tampa. So, yeah, it's been a wild ride, but I enjoy it.
All right, great. So, Captain Ward, before we start, I would like to first thank you for joining me today to talk about this pandemic, but I also would like to thank you for being on the front line as a healthcare worker as well as serving our country. Thank you so much for your service. It's really appreciated.
Thank you. It's definitely my pleasure and my honor.
Great. Thank you. So as we know, this pandemic has rocked our world literally and figuratively, and some are not taking this virus too seriously. I brought you on today because as a show host, I want to be socially responsible as well as give any information that we need to keep our families safe. So can you please explain what actually the coronavirus is?
So coronavirus refers to the shape of the virus. So there are multiple different types of coronaviruses.
Really?
Yes, and they cause illness in to varying degrees. The reason that this one is such a big deal, they call it novel coronavirus because it's new to us. It's new to humans. They've done some research on the genome of it, and they have reason to believe that it came from animals. Some suspect specifically from bats. And that can happen sometimes when there's close contact between people and animals that aren't domesticated. And so the idea was that in certain parts of China, people were catching and killing animals, bats, as a delicacy and eating, and that's how they came into close contact with them, and that's how the virus was able to jump from using animals as its primary host to humans. And that's also why we as humans are having such a hard time with this virus, because we aren't equipped for our immune systems, I apologize, is not equipped to take care of the virus, to fight it off.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that because, through the years, I've seen, and I'm sure others have seen the word on the coronavirus on the back of the Lysol can for years. I didn't know what it was, but, I never knew that it was, so it's a different strain? It's a different strain?
Yes.
Okay. That's interesting. So why has this virus all of a sudden, why did it spread so rapidly, though? I mean, I understand, it's not doing well with the human. It's a host in the human body.
So it's very contagious. Okay. It's highly contagious. It's about twice as contagious as the flu is. So that means it's spread very easily. Initially, it was suspected of being spread just by droplets. So that means typically coughs or sneezes. But now further studies are showing that it can be airborne as well to some degree, as well as found in the feces.
Wow.
And they can live on surfaces for days. For instance, on one of the cruise ships, they found active viral particles on surfaces 17 days after the last passenger had left. What? So that's why, washing hands and disinfecting surfaces is so important, because you can get it from anything.
That is interesting. Wow, 17 days. That's a long time for
yes,
a virus
ma'am.
to still be, living. That's crazy. So could you tell me why the virus was named COVID-19?
So COVID is just an abbreviation for co being coronavirus, corona, V
right.
virus, D disease in 19 because they found it in late 2019.
So it was 20. Okay. I
Yes.
knew that I wanted to make sure, because I heard somebody actually ask that question. I was like, you know what, I'm going to ask her. But I wanted to just, so the listening audience would know.
So according to the timeline, some of the first infections, there was like a rash of respiratory pneumonia that was happening in the Wuhan province of China December 30th, 31st. So the very end of the year, and that's why they call it 19.
Okay.
And it just spread from there.
And so you mentioned earlier that it's airborne in some cases, and I've heard that being outside would keep you from contracting the virus from others due to the vitamin D from the sun. So if this is true, is it safe for people to gather at beaches, parks, or even block parties?
Unfortunately, I wish, me living in sunny Florida, I wish that were true. But it's not true at all. The sun, the UV rays from the sun does not deactivate the virus. You are equally at risk indoors as you are outdoors.
Wow.
The main thing is to avoid groups of people. They're telling people to not congregate in groups larger than 10 and to avoid crowded areas because you don't know.
Right, who has it.
Correct.
That's true. And some people have the virus but are not having symptoms.
That's right.
So with that, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that someone can be contagious and actively shedding viral particles and not have any symptoms yet. 48 hours before they start showing symptoms.
Wow, that is crazy. So, what is the age range being more affected by this virus?
Typically, it looks like the elderly, 65 and older, are more likely to have life-threatening issues with the virus. Mm-hmm. However, we're seeing children as young as 8, 9 months old. We're seeing adolescents. We're seeing people in their 20s and in their 30s being intubated and on ventilators. So youth is not it's not guaranteed that you won't be affected. In all, regardless of age, about 80% of those who acquire coronavirus end up having only mild symptoms. But 15%, the remaining 15% end up requiring oxygen, and then 5% will need to be in ICU care, requiring early intubation and being on a ventilator. So it doesn't sound like a lot, 5%, but I mean, when you're looking at a population, that's a significant number, and there's no guarantee. You don't know which percent you're going to be.
Gotcha. And that's interesting that you said that, because I was going to mention that, I've heard that more people are recovering from the virus than dying. However, when you look at social media or turn the television on, you see more stories about the deaths. I mean, is that more like a scare tactic, or is it just true that bad news travels faster than good news?
I don't think it's just a scare tactic. I do believe the issue is that because it's so contagious, so many people are getting it, and the 5% can easily become a number that hospitals cannot handle. Gotcha. Because each hospital only has so many ICU beds. It only has so many ventilators. So they're easily overwhelmed by any growing number of patients. And when, if somebody needs a ventilator and doesn't have one, they're going to die. Right. So.
Wow. And I was, speaking of that, I've heard that some doctors are having to make decisions on who will live and who will die because of the shortages of ventilators. Is that true?
I've seen those headlines. I've heard those stories. I cannot vouch for that because I don't work in a hospital. I don't work in an ER, and I have not seen that happen. Right. Before my own eyes. So I can't say yes or no.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, it is stories about it, and that's why
Yeah.
it's so important to follow, instructions, and like you said, no
Yeah.
crowds, wash your hands, and
And especially if you have any underlying health issues. So high blood pressure, liver issues, heart disease, high cholesterol, asthma, anything like that, you need to be especially careful because your body, if you have a chronic health condition, your body is already taxed to a certain extent.
gotcha.
So if you are affected by coronavirus, your body's already at a disadvantage, and so it's having to fight even harder to maintain. So you're at increased risk of, having some very dire consequences.
Wow, I got you. Okay. So with the shortages of masks and gloves for our heroes in the medical field, has it been difficult to do your job? And I know you're not an ER, but have you heard stories from other physicians or nurse practitioners?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. So with it being spread airborne and droplets, there are not all masks are created equal. So there's a specific kind of mask that's really the most effective at protecting. It's the N95 mask, and unfortunately, they're in shortage right now. They're not readily available for any number of reasons.
Right.
So now, providers and nurses and techs are having to reuse them longer than what they're originally intended for. Or they try to make do with other masks that aren't as effective as the N95. Gloves aren't so much of an issue, but other personal protective equipment, gowns have been in short supply, as well as some thermometer probes have been in short supply. And because it's a nationwide thing, you can't just reorder because everybody's short.
Right. Okay. And with them reusing the mask more than they should, does it still work for them at some point, or?
Well, it increases the risk of transmission. It increases the risk of you coming in contact with it because it's collecting more viral particles the more you wear it.
Gotcha. I see. I understand. And so, there are people making masks for civilians like myself. I actually had 2 made for me last week. Are those masks safe to wear, or is it better than nothing at this point?
It's better than nothing. Okay. It's definitely better than nothing. And it can be helpful if you're just out and about. Like, say you need to go to the grocery store. You have no way of knowing if anyone is infected at the grocery store, so you wear the mask just to reduce the chances of you coming in contact with something. Gotcha. But it's probably not enough protection if you're going in to see someone that has coronavirus.
I see. Thank you. That eases my mind a little bit more because I've been using it, to go to the grocery store or to, get gas, and I use gloves and all of that. But I just wanted to wondered about that.
Oh, and speaking of gloves, I've been seeing a lot of people out and about, just wearing gloves. And that is not really, that's not doing any good, because the purpose of gloves is to prevent transmission of things. But if you're wearing gloves all day and you're touching everything with those same dirty gloves that you've been touching, that you went to the store and touched the cart with, you're just spreading germs.
Exactly.
Okay, so just try to be mindful. Be mindful of how you're using your gloves, okay? Right. So throw them away often, because dirty gloves will infect you just as quickly as dirty hands. You're still touching stuff.
That's true. And I do. As soon as I get the gas, I throw it in that same bin. I don't drive.
No. I believe you. I've seen other people. Yes. I'm sure we've all seen them at the Walmart.
Eating with them as well, and that's weird.
Yeah.
So I don't understand that either.
Yeah.
I mean, but whatever. So, what precautions can other essential workers take to protect themselves?
Obviously, wash your hands often. Try to avoid being too close to people. Stand no closer than 6 feet away from someone, if at all possible. wipe down any surfaces with disinfectant wipes, when you first come in and in between patients. And then I would also caution you to change clothes before going home. So if you are working in a like in a healthcare environment, you're wearing scrubs, as either like on the porch or as soon as you get in the door, go ahead, take those clothes off and throw them in the wash. That way you're not accidentally, transporting or transmitting viral particles to anyone in your family or in your household.
And is it also safe to say they can spray them down with Lysol when they come in the house as well? Would that help?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
That'll help, but still, I would still take your clothes off.
Okay, gotcha.
Don't go sitting on the couch or on your bed or anything with them on.
Yeah, okay, understood. And before we move on, I would like to thank the essential workers as well: police, firefighters,
absolutely,
firefighters. What is wrong with me? EMT, grocers, the restaurant workers, sanitation workers. The list goes on and on. And I mean, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, because without you, I mean, we still need to function with you guys. And the Bible even says the body of Christ, all members are important. So the head is not more important than the toes. And we need the sanitation workers. We need the maintenance work. We need that. And I'm so thankful for each of you. Thank you so much. And I pray, your safety until this is completely over. So thank you. Really, really thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for your support. And I just want to encourage everyone to please heed the stay-at-home orders. I know it's difficult. The weather's warming up. It's beautiful outside. You want to hang out with your friends. But the more people get sick, the longer this is going to last.
That's true.
So please stay home. Isolate yourselves as much as you can. Try to avoid getting sick. Try to avoid transmitting this disease, because ultimately it's people. This virus can't just hop around on its own. People are spreading it to other people.
Wow. And you speaking of shelter in place, that was my next question, and I'm sure you agree with me. It should be enforced for all states at this point to get the virus under control. Do you think?
I'm not familiar with what's going on in other states. I know people are still traveling. I feel strongly, stay home, please. Regardless of where you're living, don't go to parties, don't go to concerts, don't go to the bar, don't go to the restaurant, don't go to the game. Stay home, avoid other people, just so that, we can get this under control.
Yeah, and actually today, starting at 5 p.m., Mississippi, the state of Mississippi has shelter in place. It will be enforced today at 5 p.m. So I actually saw videos of people gathering. It was probably like 30 or 40 people on this street, and they parked their cars and they're outside Sunday just talking. And I'm like, what is, I don't think, a lot of people aren't taking it serious, and especially the younger adults. And it's like, you have to really, get it under control, people, because the longer we're out, the longer this is going to go on. And I have a birthday coming up in July, and I really want to celebrate. So I need to get under control.
I will be so upset.
I know. It's just crazy. I don't understand. But
another thing that people aren't thinking of, it's easy for us to think of ourselves and be like, I'm young, I'm healthy, I don't have to worry about it. But don't forget that you can carry it to other people. So if you're out and about, kicking it with whomever, and you are exposed to the virus, and you carry it back home, and your grandma gets it or your auntie gets it, and that would be on you. And you don't want that. Nobody wants to infect their loved ones and potentially cause somebody's demise. So just kind of, think not only of yourself. You may be fine, but everybody else around you might not.
Exactly. And speaking of that, my mom, she's 78 years old, and she's in good health, not on any medication, thank goodness. However, last week I went over to her home last Thursday, and I just stood outside, just wanted to see her face. We talked through the door and laughed for a minute, about 15 minutes, and then I went home. so, because she doesn't know how to use FaceTime and all of that, and so I just wanted to see her, physically see her. But, yeah, definitely, staying away from her. And
Yeah.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I was just agreeing with you.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier about no games. Well, Captain Ward, there aren't any games.
I know, that's true.
We're struggling like crazy. I mean, basketball season was cut short. Baseball season never really began. And it's pretty safe to say that those seasons are over. But if people follow the rules and stay home, could we possibly have football season, do you think? Maybe?
I hope so. I really hope so. Because it's enough time. If we act right, we got to act right, y'all.
Yeah, we got to act right.
Go home.
Go home.
Please, just sit down. Sit down. Spend time with your kids.
Right.
With your family members. Like, just sit down, play Monopoly. Teach your cousin how to play spades. This is a wonderful opportunity.
This is a wonderful time. You're right.
Learn how to play spades. But, if we act right, maybe.
Yeah.
If we don't, I'm going to be mad.
Oh, my
I
God.
will be upset.
I don't think, it's so funny. On Sundays, my routine is church, eat lunch, and then whether it's football season or basketball season, I'm on the couch watching games. Mm-hmm. So now I can't go to church, the physical church, so I do 2 virtual services on Sunday, and then, I'll grab brunch or, eat lunch or whatever I'm cooking. But now, I'm like, so what I do now? It's just been so odd. Thank God.
Yeah, all this free time.
Yeah, I'm working on projects, reading and stuff, but you can do so much of that. And thank goodness for Netflix. So a lot of people are, playing games together. You look on social media, families are doing the dances together, which is so cute. I love to see the parents doing it with the kids. And, people are learning to cook that didn't know how.
Right.
True.
So
it's like we're kind of going back, as my niece would say, the olden days or old-fashioned days, which were the better days. So it's, it's a blessing in all of this. I really think, it's going to just, I just hope people really look at the positive side of it and not just feeling like they're stuck at home.
Right. I agree. There's a silver lining to everything. So this isn't, sometimes, I feel like I'm on punishment.
Yeah.
but looking on the positive side of things, there's, I'm able to spend a lot more time with my child, spending more time inside in the home, doing things that we, normally wouldn't do because we're out and about. So, I would encourage everyone to just, look at the silver linings, appreciate what you've got, and stay inside.
Exactly.
Just stay inside.
Just stay inside, period. So something I do every day to, and what's so weird, in November, I wonder if I even had the coronavirus. I don't know, but November, I was sick for like 2-3 weeks. I had the flu really, really bad. And after that, because I don't usually get sick like that. So after that, I started taking way more vitamin C. But when I would get to work, and this was before the coronavirus, we knew what was going on like it is now. I started wiping down my desk and my keyboard, spraying Locks all around my area, and, wiping my phone. I did it every morning. And, but something that I do every day, I take vitamin C. I take probably 2,000 milligrams a day.
Oh,
I drink a hot decaffeinated drink every day. I stay hydrated. I drink a lot of water, and I try to eat basically, a lot of fruits and vegetables. Are those good things to do to stay safe?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anything you can do to try to boost your immune system, be it sleeping well, eating well, exercising, taking vitamin C supplementation. There's the emergency powder drink that you can take, or the little tablets. Some people swear by magnesium, so some people like to drink echinacea or take echinacea supplements. That's an herb. Anything you can do to boost your immune system is a wonderful idea.
Great, good. So, family out there, if you're not doing that, take more vitamin C because it's so important. And I think a lot of people, we don't usually take vitamins, and, a lot of people just, go about their day, but it's very important to pump that stuff in your body so you can fight this virus if it tries to come your way.
Yes,
so,
ma'am. And honestly, the best way to intake vitamin C or any kind of vitamin is through actual food. So try, you may not be good at taking pills. You might not feel like having to go to the store and buy pills, but that's a great opportunity to increase the fruit and vegetables in your life. So we all know oranges contain a lot of vitamin C, but did you know that strawberries have even more vitamin C than oranges do?
Yeah.
So if you're not into oranges, eat a pint of strawberries, make yourself a smoothie or something.
Exactly.
Leafy green vegetables, that'll always be good for you. Just try to include as many different colors in your diet as possible.
Okay, good deal. Well, Captain Ward, it has been a pleasure for you to join me today. Is there any online information you can share with us today, if I or my listeners have any more questions or concerns regarding COVID-19?
Absolutely. I like to use the CDC as a resource, the Centers for Disease Control, or another option would be the World Health Organization.
World Health Organization?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So CDC and World Health Organization, guys, if you want to look up more information on the coronavirus, I know we are, getting so much information every day, but you would be surprised. Some people, really don't watch the news and have social media. So, I just want to, make sure I can help somebody because it's real important. But please continue to take care of yourself and your family, and God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You take care as well.
Thank you. Well, that's our show for today. Please follow me on Facebook at She Say Sports and or Instagram at She Say Sports 23. Until next time, this is Sonya with She Say Sports, and I'll see you on the radio.